Last week, the House of Representatives opened an inquiry into whether or not the President of the United States has committed any impeachable offense. Well, I want to be very serious for a moment here. Its investigation is going to focus on Donald Trump's attempt to, alleged attempt at least, he basically acknowledged it, but attempt to extort a foreign government, the government of Ukraine, to manufacture charges against me and to go after my family and to undermine my candidacy for President of the United States of America. That he corrupted and weaponized, this further goes on, corrupted and weaponized the very agencies of government to include the National Security Council, the Justice Department, the State Department, the Office of Vice President, to do his personal bidding. They betrayed the foreign policy and the national security interest of the government, is what they have asserted, in the service of his reelection. For years, Trump has dismissed and excused Russian aggression in Ukraine, including the illegal annexation of Crimea. And for years, Trump has made no secret about his desire to welcome Vladimir Putin back into the fold at Ukraine's expense. Trump has emissaries, and his emissaries have sought, regrettably, to extort the existential fears of the Ukrainian leaders for political advantage. Now we know that he may have held up political support and vital support needed in aid appropriated by the Congress to pressure Ukraine to give in to his political demands. And he personally told the leader of Ukraine that American foreign policy was not any longer going to be run through the State Department. It was going to be run through his personal private lawyer, who was demanding non-existent dirt to be dug up on me. And the State Department, instead of carrying out our nation's foreign policy, was enlisted to do his bidding, it appears. People around the president knew what he was doing and knew it was wrong, profoundly wrong. And they tried to cover it up by hiding the evidence, the accusation further goes. Now, because of the courageous actions of a whistleblower, the Trump scheme has been exposed and in many cases already acknowledged by him. He did it because, like every bully in history, he's afraid. He's afraid of just how badly he may be beaten in November. Of 2020. Now that all this has come out, Trump's predictable response has been to attack me and my family. Desperate and defensive, Trump sends out crazed tweets, one after another, insinuating that the whistleblower should be dealt with extensively, he uses the words executed, threatening to prosecute the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, warning direly of a civil war if he is impeached. He repeatedly is spearing me and my families. His party fans out to carry out the smear, and millions of dollars in dishonest attack ads are blanketing the airways, paid for by the special interest as well as served by his presidency. Now, let me make something clear to Mr. Trump and his hatchet men and the special interests funding his attacks against me. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going to destroy me, and you're not going to destroy my family. I don't care how much money you spend, Mr. President, or how dirty the attacks get. Trump knows There are no truth in the charges against me. None. Zero. Every independent news organization that has reviewed the charges at length has found it to be a flat-out lie, his assertions. Every single one of them. What I did in Ukraine was carry out the official policy of the United States government to root out corruption in Ukraine in conjunction with our European allies, the International Monetary Fund and its leader, our closest democratic allies, and the courageous reformers in Ukraine who I met on the ground when I was there multiple times. It was a fully transparent policy carried out in front of the whole world and fully embraced by the international community of democracies. We weren't pressing Ukraine to get rid of a tough prosecutor. We were pursuing Ukraine to replace a weak prosecutor who wouldn't do his job with someone at the time, we hope, would finally crack down on corruption in Ukraine. That's what it was about. Trump, on the other hand, was secretly putting at risk our national security by pursuing a personal political vendetta against me because I don't think he wants to run against me. And what is truly stunning about this is the exhortation involved holding back desperately needed military assistance and political support for our Ukrainian friends. While they're engaged in I want to make this clear, there's a live war going on now, a live war with Russians now in the East, a war that has cost thousands of Ukrainian lives thus far, and it continues. This isn't a game. It's deadly serious. But as you know all too well, the truth doesn't matter to Donald Trump. It never has, and it never will, which is why I don't think the American people are going to believe him. The American people know me, and they know him. And I'll put my integrity of my whole career of public service to this nation up against his long record of lying, cheating, and stealing any day of the week. The idea of Donald Trump attacking anyone's integrity is a joke. No. Everybody knows who Donald Trump is. Even the people who first support him, they know who he is. But it's important to step back from the heated 24-hour news cycle and focus carefully on the larger story. It's not about Donald Trump's antics. It's about what he has brought Donald Trump and the nation to this sobering moment in American history. It's about the choice we're facing in 2020. What has brought us here is simply this: the abuse of power. The abuse of power is the defining characteristic of the Trump presidency. The American presidency is an office of immense power. That's why character matters more in a president of the United States than any other office in our government. That's why one of the gravest threats to our democracy is a president who puts his personal interest, his own personal gain, ahead of the public good. And that's why Trump will do anything it takes to hold on to that job. We need to be clear about something. The threat posed by this president isn't just to our Constitution. It isn't just an academic exercise in political theory. A president who puts his own interest ahead of the public good and national security also poses a threat to each in every American's daily lives. Factually. This is on full display just a few days after the House opened an impeachment inquiry, when we saw a wounded president meeting with the president of the NRA in his office. Now, as they say in my state, do you all think they were talking about the safety of the American people? Or do you think maybe they were talking about how much money the NRA was going to spend to keep Trump in office? Or do you think it mattered more to Trump, his re-election, or the safety of our children? Or do you think they talked about Trump protecting the NRA and the NRA protecting Donald Trump? You want an example of what happens when a president puts his own selfish interest ahead of the national interest, when a president abuses power? Well, I'd say this is Exhibit A. You want another example? Climate change. Folks, it's not possible for Trump to do any more for the fossil fuel industry. He's turned his back on science. He's pulled America out of the Paris Agreement, which we negotiated. He repealed the new fuel economy standards we put in place by this administration, supported by the automakers. And in return, the money is pouring in. We're facing an existential crisis. The UN tells us we have roughly 10 years to deal with this problem. And he's single-handedly standing in the way. Or what about health care? Trump has relentlessly and cynically attacked Obamacare. He has no replacement for it. He just wants it gone. It doesn't matter how many people are hurt. It doesn't matter that it'll put at risk pre-existing condition protections for over 100 million Americans. It doesn't matter that women will once again be able to be charged more just because of their gender. It's an Obama achievement, so it has to go. And if in the process you can pocket big money for your campaign from insurance companies, all the better. Or how about his wall? You know, the one Mexico is going to pay for? You got it, by the way. His big promise of 2016 is going nowhere. Instead of comprehensive immigration reform, we now have political grandstanding about the wall that, no, Mexico will not pay for, and yes, cruel and unusual policies that separate families, seek to keep their kids in cages indefinitely, without the basic necessities of soap and toothbrushes. It continues. Folks, this is not who we are. This is not America that we know. Donald Trump acts, reacts, twists and turns to what he thinks is good for him, for his ego, and his personal politics, his campaign money. And virtually every day, he launches a barrage of tweets attacking, disparaging, insulting, threatening anyone who doesn't bathe him in praise. There's no hyperbole in that statement. That's a fact. He's even gone so far as to threaten the whistleblower. Now, fearful about his re-election, he's becoming more unhinged. He wants a campaign on his terms. He imagines that this tactic will allow him to pick his opponent and face only the candidates he thinks he can beat. Well, we're not going to let Donald Trump choose the Democratic candidate. Period. But that's why I picked up the phone and called the leader of Ukraine and pressured him to manufacture a case to smear the opponent he seems not to want to face. Here's what Trump and his special interests paying for his campaign know. They know I've taken them on in the past and I've beaten them. And they know I'll do it again. They know I'm not just promising change. They know I will deliver it. I've taken on the NRA twice and beat them both times. And by the way, the majority of the members of the NRA agree with us now on the things we're calling for. We made the Brady Bill the law. We banned assault weapons. We limited magazine clips. We can do it all over again. We took on the health insurance industry. We passed Obamacare. We'll take them on again. My plan is to build on Obamacare with a public option. Health insurance companies hate it. That's why they're already attacking my plan, and they don't want the competition will come from a public option. And they don't like the fact that I'm going to limit drug prices and take them to court to do it. But here's what those special interests fear. They know I can get it done. Not in 5 years, not in 10 years, but now. Our administration, Barack and I, made the largest ever investment in clean energy in the Recovery Act, almost $100 billion almost. We assembled an international coalition to combat climate change, over 190 nations. Trump has abdicated America's leadership on climate. I will reassert it. So I'm not surprised Donald Trump asked a foreign government for help to beat me. I'm not surprised that the head of the NRA met with Trump to prop him up. I'm not surprised special interest friends are spending millions of dollars on attack ads. I'm not surprised this president's allegations of wrongdoing against me have been debunked across the board by every major publication in the country. I'm not going to let him have it his way. I'm not backing down. I'm not going to be distracted by his lies, his spears, his extortion, his name calling. I'm going to let Congress do its job and deal with impeachment. I'm going to stay focused on your lives. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, from your lives. Folks, what we can't lose sight of, and I mean this, think about it. What we can't lose sight of, this election is about you, your families, your kids, your children. It's about you. And you can't wait when it comes to health care or jobs or education, rational gun policy, climate. You know, the world can't wait for America to once again lead a stable, peaceful international order again. I've said it before, and I will say it again. Like JFK, when he spoke about taking America to the moon, he said, I refuse to postpone the work that has to get done. I refuse to postpone. Well, I refuse to postpone any longer what has to be done for the American people, for you. Folks, I know these things take vision. They take plans. And a lot of people have vision and plans, but it's not enough. It takes proven ability to get things done. There's really good people in this race for the nomination. But no one in this race has a stronger record on passing big, consequential legislation than me. That sounds so self-serving. But from the ban on assault weapons, to the Violence Against Women Act, to Obamacare, I could go on. I've been there, and I know what it takes to get it done. You go, Joe. Thank you. Let me finish with this. You've been very patient. A lot of my opponents say we have to do more than just beat Donald Trump. I agree. We have to do more than beat Donald Trump. We have to beat him like a drum. God bless you all. May God bless our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.